Situated in southern Normandy, 20 kilometres to the south of Falaise, is an M4A2 Sherman tank, serial number 26830, with the name Massaoua. It's named after a famous battle fought by the French Foreign Legion against Italian forces in Eritrea, Africa. It was given to the Free French forces under the Lend-Lease programme. It once belonged to the 1st Company of the 501st Tank Regiment of the French 2nd Armoured Division that landed on Utah Beach from the 1st of August onwards, now marked by the Leclerc Monument. They would take part in the liberation of Écouché, where it remains today as a memorial to the battle. The town was a scene of intense fighting and aerial bombardments, with around 15% of the historic town being destroyed before and during its liberation. Its church suffered heavy damage, and like Massaoua, stands as a reminder today. The battle for the town lasted from the 13th to the 15th of August 1944. Massaoua was credited with a tank kill against a Panzer IV on the 13th, whilst it was protecting the western flank of the town from the Germans retreating from the Falaise pocket. The story was recalled as follows. It was the middle of the afternoon, and the opportunity the crew had been waiting for presented itself. A Mark IV rolled into view. It spotted the Massaoua and attempted to engage. It never had a chance, with the Massaoua firing first at a distance of 800 metres, knocking out the Panzer. The Keren is avenged, which is a reference to another Sherman memorial that I've covered nearby. The crew of Keren that was knocked out 2 days before were not as lucky as the crew of Massaoua. This area was the scene of intense fighting between the French and German forces, and I've covered a few of these battles. The units involved in taking the town then took a tactical rest, giving them time to carry out essential maintenance to their vehicles. On the 15th, 2 tanks, the Bir Hakeim and Massaoua, were providing overwatch, when suddenly they were ambushed by German armour hiding in a forest to the northeast. Both tanks were hit. One round penetrated the ammunition stowage on Massaoua, causing an explosion, throwing the tank commander, Sergeant Major Maheo, from the turret. The radio operator suffered a broken foot, and the gunner took shrapnel to the chest. Surprisingly, no one else was harmed. The tank commander would later be killed in his replacement tank that he named Massaoua II. As I mentioned, the tank brewed up after it was hit, as you can see on this original photograph. The tracks and road wheels also evidence the burning. They are not a different variant of track. The rubber pads have actually burnt away, giving an interesting insight into their construction. The fire was that intense, it even destroyed the spare track and road wheel on the front glasses plate. There are 4 penetrating hits on the left-hand side of the tank, all of which could have knocked it out in some capacity, now providing openings to look inside the gutted wreck, of which some of the parts do still remain. Massaoua is a poignant reminder of the incredible firepower of some of the German anti-tank guns at the time. Despite all of the hits being at an oblique angle, they all penetrated. The rearmost hit should have been the most probable ricochet. It hit the very top of the side armour, pushing it aside as though it wasn't there, and then hit the top armour that is extremely sloped, that it then also penetrated. But by far the most impressive penetration is the one furthest forward. If you look closely, you can see it went through both the side armour and the applique armour that I'll talk about in a minute. Alas, their path of destruction did not end there. Looking inside, 2 of the hits have then also penetrated the armoured firewall of the engine compartment, also fracturing its welds, and another made its way through the ammunition bins and the turret basket amongst other items, then almost making its way through the other side, knocking off the applique armour from the right hand side in the process. These add-on plates were supplied as a quick fix modification. The French mechanics tasked with fitting these plates did not apply all of them correctly. In most cases, like on Massaoua, they were only tack welded on. The welds were not even continuous all the way round the plate, so when the tanks were hit, they simply fell off like these have. Here is an example from a Sherman on Utah Beach of what they should have looked like when correctly fitted. In reality, like on Massaoua, they would do very little against high velocity armour-piercing rounds due to the vertical sides of Shermans. Massaoua suffered an internal explosion that decimated the interior, blowing a hole in the floor, even destroying the turret basket and other components. I understand that a lot has been pillaged after the war for scrap, so these videos give you an idea of what it would have looked like, although the example could benefit from a bit of a clean throughout. These are the same diesel engines that would have been in Massaoua. A view inside the turret basket from the driver's position, and a view of the driver and bow gunner's position. And this is what's left of Massaoua. As you can see, not a lot. This is a view of Keren I mentioned earlier. Keren suffered exactly the same detonation as Massaoua. Another interesting note regarding applique armour on this tank is that the turret plates issued as Blitz item number 57 were also incorrectly fitted. They were issued to strengthen thin spots that were created to fit the traversing controls. Here is a video showing out this scooped out weak spot from the inside of another Sherman. Their fitment is poor because Massaoua actually had an updated turret with thicker armour incorporated into the casting process. This additional metal on the outer face of the turret means the plates are unable to sit flat against the outer face. It's unclear why they're still fitted, but in all honesty, I don't blame them for fitting extra armour, especially when you see how easily this Sherman was destroyed. This is a video from another French Sherman with an earlier casting and correctly fitted plates. As you can tell, quite a difference. Massaoua now stands as a memorial thanks to the mayor of the town after the war, who saved it from being scrapped. It was then unveiled in 1947 by General Louis Warabio, who was a colonel in the French 2nd Armoured when Massaoua was destroyed in 1944. Massaoua actually has some extremely rare modifications attached. I want to cover these in another video, where I'll go into detail about the rare French Shermans that I've covered and the interesting and sometimes homemade mods on them. The links to the other tanks that I've covered are below. Thank you for watching.